Up High podcast is Colby Cohen. Colby, thanks for joining us.
I appreciate you having me on. It's always good to talk a little Flyers hockey.
We also want to talk about kind of what you're doing away from hockey, and let's start with that, and then we'll build up into the Flyers tonight versus the Caps. But you just finished up what was really a cool event. I got to get down there to the Renault Winery. You had an ice rink outside at the winery. It was really, really cool. Talk about that, if you would, a little bit, and how you got involved in that.
Yeah, I mean, what's really interesting is I spent so much time in New England, sort of I'd say in my 20s, and there's so many outdoor skating opportunities in that area. Obviously, it's like 10 degrees colder every day, so I think people are just more willing to take the chance and have, outdoor rinks and more pond hockey. In this area, we don't really necessarily get consistent enough cold for people to do a lot of pond hockey. And skating outside is incredible. I mean, I got to play at Fenway. I got to play. I've got to call, I think, 3 or 4 Winter Classics now for Westwood One on the radio. I've just got to do a lot of cool outdoor events. I mean, Fenway was like one of the coolest things I've ever done. So I kind of had this opportunity to be a part of a project at the winery, and my area of expertise being hockey, they were like, oh, like, can you bring us an ice rink? And I said, sure, not really knowing what it entailed. I figured I'll figure it out. And yeah, we put a rink. I have a couple of business partners at the winery, and people loved it. And I just don't think that people really get a chance to skate outside unless they go into Center City, Philadelphia. And I just don't think a lot of people, suburban people are necessarily going into the city for activities like that. I think that the city stresses people out, especially when they have young kids and parking and whatnot. So yeah, we had the outdoor rink for 3 months. People loved it. We had mite hockey games there on the weekends, public skating. It's just, there's something about skating without a roof over your head, whether it's on a pond or whatnot. And it's cool. And we just closed it up. We do hope to do it at Renault's Winery next year. It's a great experience. They have a great property, and they have food and beverage. And, we book all the entertainment for them. So we would bring in big bands and DJs and, try to make it fun and have big screens where we'd show Flyers games or Eagles games or, whatever was going on. And I do plan to have a couple more next year, probably in the suburban Philadelphia area. I mean, I'm from Radnor Township, so I'd like to bring a rink to that area. Maybe not Radnor in particular, but I would like to bring a rink to that area and give people the opportunity that probably don't want to drive to South Jersey to take their kids ice skating. A similar experience. So it's kind of a natural progression for me. Most things that I've done in my post-playing career have revolved around the game. I started a clothing company that was all active wear for people to train and play in, and I did that for a couple of years before selling that company. And I work in broadcasting, as and Flyers fans would know. I was on the show for a couple of years. Still working for ESPN, doing the NCAA tournament with Barry Melrose and John Butchergross here coming up at the end of the month, and then the Frozen Four in Pittsburgh, which will be really cool. And hopefully I'll get to see a couple Flyers prospects in that. But staying involved in the game, staying busy. Haven't probably watched as much Flyers hockey this year as I have in the previous years, just due to other commitments, and it's not my job technically now to watch the games. So I'm fortunate that the game has been good to me, and I've been involved in so many different facets of it.
Well, I did get to go down to the skating, and it was fantastic. It was we went on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, I believe. As a family, went down there. A couple friends went down there. There was a screen playing. There was bands. There was good food. It was a great time. So I know I'll be looking forward to whatever you come with that rink next year. But you're right, skating outside's great. And this year, people were just dying to skate with COVID shutting down rinks. I built a
Anything.
small rink in my yard, and like you said, we got to skate on it once. It just wasn't cold enough. But
Just
and
one.
I
That's all
was
you got was one day.
just
That's
once,
heartbreaking.
and it cracked, and the water was coming up. It wasn't frozen solid, but I got the one day out of it for the boy. He really and my daughter, she starts next month playing hockey, but they loved it. It was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, we didn't get to do it all the time on my yard, but we did get down to the winery, and skating outside is a lot of fun. It was just nice to get away and have that opportunity for them. So you touched on it. I was going to move right into it. You know a thing or two about the Frozen Four and your time in college. In fact, you were the scored the championship goal, if it serves me correct, for Boston U there with your partner Kevin Shattenkirk was your playing
Yeah.
partner. So talk about your college hockey up in Boston. How'd you get up to Boston U and that time and obviously winning the national championship?
Yeah. Well, growing up in this area, we didn't have any college hockey. Penn State wasn't around yet, and it's not like college hockey is shown on New England Sports Network a lot, but never really shown in our area. So I didn't know a whole lot about it. My goal is always to play for the Flyers. It was never a goal of mine, if I'm being honest, to be a Division I college hockey player. I know that's part of the steps to being in the NHL for players, but my goal was to play on the Flyers. I mean, when I was 5 years old and I was watching, Eric Lindros, whoever at that time, play for the Flyers, like that's all I cared about. I wanted to be a Flyer. So as I started to get older and, I was progressing, and my dad moved me out of the area to keep playing. And I got to the U.S. national team and I started getting recruited basically by every, you know, I was fortunate. Let's just say that I was a high end prospect. I was a second round pick in the NHL draft, so I had a decent amount of schools that I was interested in were mutually interested in me, and my parents were super supportive. My mom went to BU, so the only real feedback that I got from my parents was you can go anywhere you want except for BC. So I eventually picked BU. David Quinn, recruited me, and he was a good recruiter. When I went to visit when I was probably 15 years old, they had me up for a visit there, and I walked into Aganis Arena and I just remember, whoa, this is the most incredible place I've ever seen in my life. Aganis Arena was 3 years old at the time, maybe. So Aganis opened in like 2004 or 5, maybe. I think I went up there in like 2006 even. Like it was so new and fell in love with it right away. My parents wouldn't let me commit on the spot. Well, my dad, he said, you got to go see other schools. I visited with Harvard, UNH, Denver, Michigan. I kind of like did the tour of the teams that were interested in me, and eventually I settled on BU with two of my best friends in the world also committing to BU. Shattenkirk and I actually committed on the same day. We were together when we called Coach Parker and Coach Quinn. And then we spent the next 3 months recruiting our buddy Colin Wilson, who was also on our team there at the U.S. National Program, convincing him why he needed to go to BU, because James Van Riemsdyk, who was our other teammate, had just committed to go to UNH. So we knew we needed another big time forward because they got Reamer. So we needed Willie. I mean, in an ideal world, we would have got both of them, but great experience. Best 3 years of my hockey career, easily, just from a fun standpoint. Like you just always had a smile on your face. Great group of guys, my best friends, guys who I, still talk to every day. And we just had our 10-year reunion for the national championship game. And college is such a different beast because you are with the guys all the time. And when you're a pro, guys are going home to be with their families after practice every day. You might grab lunch with your group, your 2 or 3 guys, but then it's home to be with the kids and home to be with the family. And, money's involved and players are in and out of the locker room every day, new face in the locker room every single day, which is so different. Where college, you bleed your uniform color. Like you are there for 4 years, maybe. You eat, sleep, and breathe it. All you think about is your pride for your jersey, your team. pro's a little bit different. You win for the team you're on, and the next day you could get traded or sent